On this episode, we're going to talk about the last first kiss.
Stay tuned to the 2 and 5 podcast. Today on the 2 and 5 podcast, the last first kiss.
The last first kiss. I'm Liz Rogers.
And I'm Jeff Duke.
Welcome to the rodeo.
So where we left off with Lane City when Liz staged a photo to get close to me. Like this.
He touched my head.
And so the next step on the road to the Regulator, which the Regulator is the name of the restaurant that we were opening, which was currently under construction, that we were opening in Louise, Texas. And so the next step of our journey was menu, which we left off. We were making signature drinks. We were testing chili. And now Benny Keith had a food show in NRG in Houston, and which Benny Keith, for those that don't know, is one of the food distributors that restaurants buy all their food
Anything.
from. And so they were putting this event on for all the people that sell food through the distributor of Benny Keith. You can sample their 44 farms, or there was hundreds of it, but you can. It's like some kind of Willy Wonka chocolate factory for all the food there.
You could sample 20 different hamburger buns if you wanted to, or see ice molds with your company's logo on them, or order all these different types of seafood. So just suppliers for restaurants. And their consultant felt like it would be beneficial for me to go and experience this food show.
Yeah, I don't know what that had to do with marketing, other than maybe she knew I was going to be there. I don't know. There's speculation. Who knows? But they are foodies. I'm not saying that. Yeah. But so me and Brent are scheduled to go to this food show, and our marketing girl shows up, and that's where we are.
So we walk around the food show, sampling things, testing things out.
Somebody's positioning herself to walk by me.
And somehow Jeff was walking by me a lot that day. And we went for a drink at the Armadillo Palace and for a bite to eat to kind of download everything that we have seen that day and tested. And
get a drink.
And when we were leaving that day, I took a bold move.
Well, at lunch, Liz was... Have you ever heard of Maren
Morris?
Yeah.
Sings a song.
She was telling me about the song Tall Guys. And
there's a song
and stared into my eyes
that Maren Morris sings about tall guys. And as we were leaving, Jeff gave me a hug and I said, "There's a song about you." And he said, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, it's called Tall Guys by Maren Morris." And I said, "You're our tall guy," because she says that she can always find him in the middle of a crowd. And I was like, all day we could always find you because you're so tall. And Jeff kind of laughed, and we laughed about it. And it was very obvious that there was some attraction between us. And later on, after we left the Armadillo Palace,
so I'm getting in the truck. Me and Brent are riding together, and he's driving. I'm running the shotgun, and he looks at me and he's like, "Liz is really into you." And I was like, "I need to get her number." Like, "You got it?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, "I need to get it for Jess." And I was just about to text to try to get the number to, I don't think up some reason to call her. And I swear this is true. And the minute I went to do that, a text came through with the link to the song.
I sent him the song.
"Hey, this is Liz."
So that's where the sweet nickname of the Tall Cowboy comes from, is because he was my tall guy and that I could find him all day. And that's really what opened the door between us.
So we started texting back and forth from that point to, we were in Houston, and I'm at that time living in El Campo, Liz living in Galveston. And so we're texting back and forth, and it starts becoming more frequent that evening. Then I get a text that talking greater sign texting.
Talking is greater than texting. I'm a big proponent of talking over texting. So we started talking and really haven't stopped talking since, not for
it
a
was
second.
till 3 a.m, like
Yeah,
night.
very
Good
high
night.
school, all night talking. But during that time, Jeff said to me, you must really like 5 and 2 because we're going to be 2 and 5, meaning
Well,
5 and 2 being the name of my marketing company, which is based on the gospel account of the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. But Jeff and I being 2 and us having 5 children all together. So 5 and 2, and now we became 2 and 5.
hence the podcast.
Hence,
2 and 5.
our whole life now is 2 and 5. But we, this is a really kind of a sweet part of the story because we decided that we would, Jeff asked me out on a date. He asked if he could come closer and that we could meet and go to dinner. And it was right before Valentine's Day. And I had just been studying so much about the power of manifestation and the power of, speaking out the things that you wish for in the world and your goals and your dreams. And I had realized that for quite a long time, I had been speaking pretty negatively about relationships in my life, and that I was at a point where I really just had a ton of joy with my family and my friends and my business, with my teenager, and I was very content and very happy and felt very free to start speaking and hoping for what I would want in a relationship. That, like, I felt very content and happy with where I was, but that if a relationship were to come into the picture, this is what I would want. And so I wrote down a list of things very early on in the year that were things that I valued very greatly in a relationship. And Jeff is the physical, emotional, spiritual manifestation of every single one of those things. The list is uncanny. And I just always want to impress on people how powerful it is that the words that you speak into the universe, into your faith, into your life, into other people's lives, they matter. And when they're negative, you speak that negativity and you call out to it, and you tend to attract it. When you speak positively and you're hopeful about the things that you want in life, that can be a really powerful tool. And I had never been big on Valentine's Day. I had a literal t-shirt that said my dog is my Valentine, because historically Oscar had been my Valentine. But here we were on February 12th, headed to meet at Pier 6, which is just a really, really cool, fabulous restaurant right on the water, near Kemah, Texas, with oysters and champagne. And you want to tell what happened in the parking
Well,
lot?
so, and like Liz was saying, I was, you know, making proclamations that, uh, literally days before January 5th when we met, about how I did not need a relationship. I was content, happy, and like had that was not what I was seeking. But and I think that what makes us work is we were kind of whole on our own, and then able to look up and grow. And so I think that's very important, because I mean, when you see people go from toxic relationship to toxic relationship, the opposite of that works too. And just being, and so I think there was a lot of that, and there was a lot of the discussions of that. I mean, because we were talking for, till 2 or 3 in the morning, like, and those are the things we were talking about. And you know how we were, and it was just, you could just feel that growing together. And so, and I hadn't seen Liz since the mini Keith, which I don't know, it's probably, I don't know how many days it was.
Weeks, yeah.
It was a while, but we were talking, and so I really wanted to see her, and so she graciously said, "Why don't you meet me at Pier 6?" And so I drove from El Campo, and she drove from Galveston, and we met up in Kemah. And Just that whole way there, I was like, I'm just gonna kiss her when I see her, and so I pull into the parking lot and I see her standing there, and
This man was on a mission, y'all. Like, he walked across the parking lot to me. I will never get the vision of him out of my head. Like, Ray-Bans on, like, black jacket on and jeans, and just like walked across the parking lot, and there was no doubt in my mind that we were going to kiss, like without saying a word, that kiss was going to happen, and
so
it did.
and that was the last
That was the
first
last
kiss.
first kiss. Oh, you can't make out on a podcast. I
Just
didn't
one
even kiss
quick.
him. I just think it's remarkable. Like, just thinking about, is it the last time that you will have a first kiss with someone? And it just like, that's so special and so sacred to have together. And we talked and talked and talked. We stayed at Pier 6 for, probably 3 hours.
And did something that I am not necessarily proud of, but we sat on the same side of a booth.
I insisted he sit on the same side.
And made out in the rest. We were those people.
We were those people.
But Liz said every woman in there was jealous because it was the Valentine's meal, and it was okay because it was Valentine's.
It was Valentine's. So after Pier 6, Jeff decided to come down and visit me for Valentine's Day, which I had really honestly never had a Valentine or a good Valentine's Day or anything romantic or remarkable. He brought me beautiful flowers, albeit from HEB, which he proclaimed to be very pedestrian flowers, but beautiful nonetheless, absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. And he came down and we sat and again, just talked and talked and talked all night and made a fire and just...
And we decided we're going to let our kids meet at Fat Tuesday.
Yeah. Stay tuned, guys. Up next is going to be a little bit of a plot twist when we talk about Mardi Gras and Lent and breathing room. I'm Liz Rogers.
I'm Jeff Duke.
This is the 2 and 5 podcast.